Hello students, welcome to part 2 of the chapter Sorting Materials into Groups. Till now in part 1 we have discussed about sorting, we compared sorting and classification, we discussed about the various materials and the objects which can be created from them. We started with the discussion of properties of materials and in that we discussed appearance which had two characteristics, the luster and smoothness. Thereafter we discussed about the three states of matter so that it could be helpful to us while we discuss the further properties in part 2, and then we saw an augmented reality video related to the conversion of solid into liquid into gas for water. So let's begin with part 2, but before that please like, subscribe and share the channel. This will mean a lot to me. The second property is hardness. We have few materials: cotton, stone, sponge, scale and a chalk piece. If we notice, cotton and sponge are easy to press, so these are soft materials, whereas stone, scale and chalk piece are hard to press and are called hard materials. A science fact: diamond is the hardest material known to humans. Next property is based on the fact whether the material is soluble or insoluble in water. We take salt, sugar, pencil shaving, sand and chalk powder. Some materials like salt and sugar readily dissolve in water. Materials that completely dissolve in water are called soluble materials, whereas sand, pencil shaving and chalk powder do not dissolve in water and are called insoluble materials. Let's extend the activity and try to find out what happens when vegetable oil or lime juice is added with water. Here we have a test tube containing oil and let's try to pour water into it with the help of this dropper. If we see, the water and the oil have gone segregated. And even on shaking, both of them are not ready to mix. Let's take the next component, which is lime juice, and we'll add water into it. Water and lime juice readily mix. Based on our observation, some liquids don't dissolve in water are called immiscible in water, and liquids which dissolve in water are called miscible in water. Some gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide and ammonia are soluble in water. Oxygen dissolved in water is used by fishes for respiration. Carbon dioxide dissolved in beverages makes the drinks fizzy and they are called aerated drinks. Gases like nitrogen, hydrogen and methane are insoluble in water. Let's discuss the next property, which is based on the fact whether the objects float or sink in water. There are some objects like dry leaf, plastic spoon, table tennis ball and wood which stay on the surface of water, that is, they float. Whereas objects like nail, pebble, marble and golf ball sink. Density is the defining factor whether an object will float or sink in water or any other liquid. Density is defined as the mass contained in a unit volume of a substance. Materials with less density than water float while others sink. Here we can see a picture of a coconut which is floating in the water. Next we have conductivity. Now it can be either thermal or electrical. When it is thermal, it is more associated with heat and temperature. When it is electrical, it is more associated with electricity. Let's discuss the first one. So thermal conductivity is the measure of the ability of a material to conduct heat. Here in the diagram we have hot body on one side and cold body on the other side, and the heat transfer will happen from the hot body to the cold body. Now a question at this point of time. Which metals conduct heat the best? Options are steel, brass, copper, bronze or aluminium. Put on your thinking caps and keep thinking. So here we have a pyramid showing the various heat conductions of the metals. We have copper and aluminium topping this list, so both of these metals are better to be used as the base of a saucepan or as heat sinks. Electrical conductivity. It is the measure of the ease at which electrical charge can pass through a material. We have the best conductors as silver and copper. Non-metals like wood, mica, plastic and rubber are bad conductors of electricity and are called insulators. Insulators like plastic are used to cover the metal wires and protect us from electric shocks. Another interesting property of materials is magnetism. Magnetic materials are those which get attracted to a magnet. Iron, cobalt and nickel are materials which get attracted to a magnet and exhibit property called magnetism. You must have seen a bar magnet or a horseshoe magnet, and these have a capability to attract the magnetic materials. A science fact at this point of time: in India, almost all the stainless steel cookware is austenitic and it is non-magnetic. At times, the sellers use a magnet to reassure the customer that the steel used is genuine, high-grade austenitic stainless steel. Next, we have transparency. On the basis of the amount of light that can pass through the materials, they are of three types: transparent, opaque, and translucent. Here in the picture we have an example of a glass which actually has all these three. So let's try to identify them. The first one is transparent, second one is opaque, and the third one is translucent. Let's discuss about the three in a bit more detail. Materials through which light can pass are called transparent. Example: clear glass, clean water, air. Materials through which light cannot pass are called opaque. Example: book, milk, and wooden door. Materials through which light pass partially are called translucent. Translucent materials do not allow us to see the objects clearly. Example: an oil patch on paper. Hope you must be remembering it from chapter 2. Frosted glass and dust-laden air. We have a game for you at this point. Let's group materials as per their light allowing property. Here is the bunch of materials, and then we are going to segregate them as transparent, opaque, translucent. So clear plastic lid is transparent, turbid water is translucent, butter paper or wax paper is translucent, tin foil is opaque, cardboard is opaque, wood is again opaque, clear glass is transparent, clean air is transparent, and parchment paper or baking paper is translucent. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's summarize the chapter. Objects around us are made up of a vast variety of materials. Dividing the objects into various groups based on their features is called sorting. Sorting makes us more organized and helps in systematic study of things. Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. A material can be used to make a number of objects, or many materials can be used to make a single object. Different materials have properties like appearance, hardness, solubility, flotation, conductivity, which can be thermal or electrical, magnetism, and transparency. Here we have the keywords used throughout the chapter. Sorting, a method of dividing the objects into various groups based on their features. Classification, a method of placing items in predetermined groups based on certain similarities and dissimilarities. Luster, shine of materials. Matter, anything that has mass and occupies space. Soluble, material that dissolves in water. Insoluble, material that does not dissolve in water. Miscible, liquid that dissolves in water. Immiscible, liquid that do not dissolve in water. Conductor, materials that allow electricity to pass through them. Insulator, materials that do not allow electricity to pass through them. Transparent, material through which light can pass. Opaque, materials through which light cannot pass. Translucent, materials through which light passes partially. As an extended learning to this chapter, we can have following. During visit to a supermarket, see how the things are arranged in specific groups. Figure out if there could be a better way to arrange them. Check for the perforated stainless steel plates attached under an aluminium utensil. What is its role? Why are the handles of cookware made of plastic or wood? Why don't the ships with massive weight sink? Make a presentation on grouping of animals. And lastly, does the proper arrangement of things in your room help you? If yes, how? With this, we come to an end of the chapter, sorting materials into groups. Hope you have liked it, and in case you have any queries or questions, please write a mail to learning.space.mk@gmail.com. We'll meet again in the next chapter. Till then, happy learning!